course, fighting out of the blue corner, an undefeated mixed martial artist, holding a perfect professional record, 14 wins, no losses. He stands 62 inches tall, weighing in at 183 pounds, fighting out of the United Arab Emirates by way of Chester, Russia.
Chimaev's best chance, it's not going to be grappling. It's going to be maybe if he slips right and does an overhand or something, or if he gets lucky. But it's like at the end of the day, guys, you could bring the best grappler in the fucking world and you could have us grapple for an hour. I will win. I will win. All I fucking do is grapple. You guys, what do you guys think? The reason why I don't post grappling is because it's fucking gay. I could go show me and Michelle trying to give each other CTE, and that's great. Do you really want to see me and two guys in the missionary position? Just like, it's fucking gay, dude. I don't want to do it.
So we didn't get a ton of takedowns in this fight. Let's see how. Now this is where you can line up. This is where one little shot changes everything. This is where this knee digs to the gut. Watch it. Boom. Digs the knee to the gut. When you're breathing the wrong way, when you're breathing in, boom, and then you get smacked with that knee. Those ribs, they drive into your.
Are you giving him a chance here against Khamzat? Like, we saw some pretty good wrestling takedown defense against Hernandez.
No, I'm not giving him a chance. You know, Hernandez and Khamzat are completely different levels of grapplers and the way they approach their strategy. So I think Khamzat's going to take him down and submit him. You know, obviously, you know, Shmo went and watched them spar back at Extreme Couture a couple years ago, and he pretty much said like it wasn't competitive. Khamzat was just taking him down and submitting him. So I expect that same game plan. He's not going to be stupid and strike with Sean, you know, and make it a kickboxing fight. He's just going to make it straight grappling, and you know, I think he's going to put Strickland in some really bad positions and either submit him or just hold him out.
Be in the clinch. If Khamzat, if Strickland is able to keep it standing, and you've got Khamzat bearing down on him, greeting him to the body. Yes, I mean, the jab, if you can get it going, is great, but knees up the middle, clinching up and then firing knees up the middle. He's done it in previous fights to an extent. You got some of that in the Fluffy fight. I actually think that is a more suitable path, but that is really only possible, with some exception, with the expanse of time. There has to be a lot of time on the feet for you to see something like that, or a very aggressive pace, but while keeping it standing from Khamzat. So if Khamzat is fighting a little bit more judiciously, it's going to be a little bit harder to get.
Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland is one of those fights where no one really agrees on how it will play out. Some are looking at the wrestling and saying it's clear. Others think Strickland can drag it into a different kind of fight. The takes are all over the place, and that's what makes this interesting.
Adding on to that, I think, man, if the guy who fought Fluffy shows up, he beats Khamzat.
What was it up close that impressed you the most?
His jab. You know, when we talk, everybody talks about he's just jabbing, but man, that jab was a thump, man. It looked like Larry Holmes. He was like Larry.
Really?
He looked like the white Larry Holmes with that jab. Like, and I'm telling you, because like most people when they jab, it's just kind of like a flick jab, or it's stiff, but it doesn't land. But the way Sean was throwing it, coming from low and high, it was heavy. It had mass behind it. And every time Fluffy blocked it, you saw Fluffy felt it. Even when he was blocking it, he felt that jab, and it really deterred Fluffy from shooting. And I was like, yo, I never knew Sean had a jab like that. I thought it was just a regular jab, but that jab was...
And Sean Strickland, not at the White House card, but he's got a title fight against Khamzat Chimaev. How does that thing play out?
I think Khamzat wins by dominant takedowns. Khamzat tries to stand with Strickland. I think Strickland picks him apart on his feet, but I don't think it's going to be like that. Everybody watched his last match, the way Khamzat wrestled or fought. He wrestled really, really well. He's aggressive, you know, I want to say world champion, but Olympic champion style of wrestling, where it's just like Khabib, just on you like a wet paper bag, or you know, just on you, on top of you, nonstop, where you can't get away from him. And this kind of goes back to when I fought Randy Couture. It felt like I had an oak table on top of me and I could not get away at all. And that's how Khabib fights. That's how Chimaev fights. And that's just aggression. That's how I used to fight. Be the same thing. Guys could not get away from me. And once I dragged them to the ground, I was like...
Here's what people in the fight world are actually saying and where they think this fight could turn. 2. Dan Thomas confessed that he has revised his stance about who will come out victorious from the match against Sean Strickland since he viewed the latter's fighting style live. Initially, Thomas was confident about Khamzat Chimaev's victory and considered Strickland to be just one more victim of the champion. Nevertheless, having watched that particular performance from a cage-side seat, Thomas...
Yeah.
I would have said there's no way. I think Sean's great, but you know, he's just going to be another victim for Khamzat. But after watching him fight Fluffy up close and personal, again, cage side, man, I think Sean could pull this off, man. I'm actually thinking if that Sean Strickland shows up, I think he pulls this off, man. I think he defends a couple shots. He will get taken down, but I think he gets back to his feet. And then if he can get his jab going, his jab and those teep kicks going, because what Sean does well naturally is already a good defense towards a guy like Khamzat. And it's not like he's got to do anything different. Just what he does good naturally is already a good start for beating a guy like Khamzat.
So he then focused on Strickland's striking, especially his jab and front kick, saying those tools naturally work well against someone like Khamzat. Dan pointed out that Sean doesn't need to change much because his style already creates problems. Even when blocked, it had an effect, and he believes that kind of jab can slow Khamzat down and make it harder for him to shoot.
Adding on to that, I think, man, if the guy who fought Fluffy shows up, he beats Khamzat.
What was it up close that impressed you the most?
His jab. You know, when we talk, everybody talks about he's just jabbing, but man, that jab was a thump, man. It looked like Larry Holmes. He was like Larry.
Really?
He looked like the white Larry Holmes with that jab. Like, and I'm telling you, because like most people when they jab, it's just kind of like a flick jab or it's stiff, but it doesn't land. But the way Sean was throwing it, coming from low and high, it was heavy. It had mass behind it. And every time Fluffy blocked it, you saw Fluffy felt it. Even when he was blocking it, he felt that jab, and it really deterred Fluffy from shooting. And I was like, yo, I never knew Sean had a jab like that. I thought it was just a regular jab, but that jab.
Tim Welch focused on what could go wrong for Sean Strickland early in the fight. He pointed out that Strickland's stance with him standing tall with his legs almost locked could really make it easier for Khamzat Chimaev to shoot in for takedowns. He believes the first 2 rounds are the biggest danger, where Khamzat likely controls the fight on the ground. For Welch, the key question is simple. Can Strickland survive that early storm and avoid getting dominated? Welch explained where Strickland could actually turn things around. He said if Strickland gets through those early rounds, the fight changes once it stays on the feet. His constant jab, pressure, and experience in 5-round fights could start to wear Khamzat down. Welch made it clear that many people are counting Strickland out, but he sees this as a dangerous fight. He even suggested that
Dreykus just swings hard. That's all he does. He swings hard. He swings explosive. And he didn't have anything for Khamzat until that 5th round. Strickland can sit here and go like this. Just annoying, just tap, 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 punching you literally at 60%. So he's used to these 5-round fights.
Beneil Dariush took a more measured approach and said Khamzat is still a very difficult challenge, especially in the early rounds. He expects Khamzat to be dominant in round 1 and possibly round 2 using his pressure and wrestling. However, Dariush also sees a possible shift later in the fight. He said there's a scenario where Strickland starts defending better, finds his rhythm, and begins to take over in rounds 2 and 3. While he still leans toward Khamzat overall, he made it clear that Strickland has the ability to adjust and turn things around. He described it as a tough fight for Sean, but one where a comeback is
thumping.
I just got to know, man, from your breakdown in your mind, how do you feel like that fight's going to go?
I think Khamzat is a very tall task, very difficult to deal with. I think we're looking at like round 1, round 2, Khamzat being very dominant. But I also think there's a world where, you know, all of a sudden things don't go so well because, man, Sean can wrestle. And all of a sudden, round 2, Sean's defending. Round 3, round 2, round 3, Sean starts to defend, kind of finds his place, and he starts to take over the rounds. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. But I would definitely lean towards Khamzat in the first couple of rounds, and then maybe Sean's able to make a comeback. It's a tough fight for Sean for sure, but you know, Sean's familiar with tough fights and, you know, stepping up into these positions.
Denis Garatov makes it clear that Sean Strickland does have upset potential, especially when he's the underdog. But he quickly brings it back to reality by pointing out how dangerous Khamzat Chimaev is early. He explains that most of Khamzat's finishes come in round 1, with very few happening later. Because of that, he says Strickland's main goal has to be survival early. He stresses that getting past those first 2 rounds is absolutely key if Strickland wants any real chance. Luke Thomas builds on that by saying that while this approach is not the best one, it can be considered a necessary one. According to him, Strickland would probably have to survive first and fight second, which means that his offensive skills would initially be restrained. While Luke does not believe in the complete fading out of Khamzat, he thinks that the latter rounds can turn the tide. In general, Luke's opinion can be boiled down to the following point. Khamzat is more threatening during the initial rounds. However, once Strickland survives and continues to fight back, it becomes an even game. When James Lynch finally gives his pick, he leans toward Khamzat Chimaev, but not in the way most people expect. He does not see an easy finish happening, even though a lot of fans are predicting a submission. He also brings up that Khamzat could not submit Dricus du Plessis. So expecting him to suddenly do it against someone with solid defensive habits like Strickland is not as straightforward as people think. Instead, he starts leaning toward a decision win, mainly because Strickland's takedown defense and ability to survive bad positions could stretch this fight longer than expected. He also objects to the knockout story. Indeed, Strickland was knocked out in the past, but Lynch provides more detail to it. The first knockout happened during a spinning heel kick, which was an unusual technique. And in another case, he lost to Alex Pereira, who can knock out almost any opponent. It is doubtful that Lynch sees Khamzat as the one with such abilities. Moreover, he emphasizes that Strickland made wrong decisions by trying to exchange strikes with a more dangerous opponent in that area. Thus, a knockout can happen, but it is unlikely to be the most probable outcome. Robert Whittaker admitted that after Strickland's recent win, you can now make a case for him, especially with how he handled his last opponent, but at the same time, he didn't lean either way strongly and said it's anybody's guess. He pointed out how unpredictable title fights can be, where things don't always go the way people expect. Whittaker shifted focus to the grappling difference, and this is where he made it clear, having faced Khamzat Chimaev himself. He said the level is completely different compared to what Strickland just dealt with. He described it as night and day, basically warning that Strickland hasn't faced that kind of pressure yet. Even though Strickland looked good, Whittaker hinted we still don't fully know how he handles that elite wrestling. Cobby Covington said he's not giving Strickland a chance. He explained that the grappling level between Strickland's last opponent and Khamzat is completely different, and that gap is just too big to ignore. He even doubled down on his opinion by saying Khamzat will likely take him down and submit him. He even brought up past sparring stories, claiming it wasn't competitive, which adds to his confidence in that prediction. Barallo actually gave Strickland some credit, especially in the striking. He explained that Strickland's style is basically using a lot of jabs and not overcommitting on power, which is actually smart against a wrestler like Khamzat. Since wrestlers look for big openings when you overextend, Strickland's controlled striking could help him stay safer and avoid easy takedowns. Barallo still leaned toward Khamzat, but not by a huge margin. He called it around 60-40, making it clear that while Khamzat is the favorite, the fight is still competitive. He also added that anything can happen, especially if Strickland manages distance well and keeps the fight standing longer than expected. Ultimately, this fight is likely going to be all about who can impose their will and maintain it through the course of the fight. Should Khamzat successfully land his quick takedown